Okay, let's talk golden handcuffs. First of all, what are golden handcuffs? Golden handcuffs are some sort of delayed retention system, whether they be stock or a bonus or something like that, where I give you money in some form, but that money is only available after a relatively long period of time. Maybe it's stock and it vests in 36 months. Or maybe it is a bonus that you're going to get when the game ships. There is a story, let's call it, in the hiring world that golden handcuffs don't work. That's not true. They aren't great, and I'll talk about why they're not great, but they do work. If you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, golden handcuffs are pretty low down on the hierarchy. They're providing money, which is you use for the relatively basic things. They're not a good replacement to feeling purpose and all the higher up level things. But everyone has bad days where you don't feel purpose, or you don't feel like what you're doing is worthwhile. And let me tell you, on those days, the fact that there is a check coming in the mail, if you can just make it a few more months, does help. It gets you over those hurdles. Does it work forever? It doesn't, but it can get you through the bad days and hopefully get you back to good days. For me, there have been 3 times in my career where golden handcuffs totally kept me in the job. The first was on Jade Empire 2. We had just sold to VG Partners. I was relatively junior in the company when we sold, but senior enough that I was getting checks in the mail from the sale for 5 years that were pretty big. On Jade Empire 2, there a couple things happened I won't go into right now. I was feeling sort of demoralized, but there's a check coming in the mail. That check, plus my existing salary, makes my existing job pay pretty good compared to other jobs out in the workforce. So it got me over a couple of pretty bad months, and then I found my purpose again, and then things are better. And by the time the 5 years was over, the checks were coming, but it wasn't part of my retention at all. But it got me over that little hump. The other 2 were later, but similarly. There were stock that was involved, and the vesting period was long enough. It was in the right period where I could see the horizon. But on the bad days, well, that's enough money that it's worth sticking it out and trying to find the other side. What makes golden handcuffs actually work? So for me, it's 2 things. One, it has to be big enough for me to give a shit. If I'm just going to get $50 if I stay another month, whatever. It's got to be enough to actually matter, actually make me pause and think about the fact that I would be giving this up if I was to walk away. The other thing is it has to be timely enough for me to consider it through the lens of whatever bad period I am currently in. Maybe every month isn't ideal, because the one problem with every month is you also have a lot of very clear off-ramps. Every month you just got a check, so why not today? The day I just got the check. But if it's too far, if you have a stock plan with a 36-month vest, well, that's 3 years from now. If I'm looking at my future through this sort of place I am right now, where I'm feeling not great about the job, and I'm just imagining 3 more years of this, then the likely outcome is that I'm just going to say, I can't do 3 years of this. It won't work. It will just cause them to eject. Now, of course, they weren't really going to have 3 years of what they're currently feeling, but inside of it, that's the calculation that you're making. So I actually think that what you want is something in the 3 to 6 month range, where it is far enough in the future that I'm not constantly having an opportunity to off-ramp, but not so far that I'm imagining the rest of time in the current situation that I'm in. If you have a big vest fairly far in the future, 6 months, 12 months, that's also when you might start to lose people, because their stock is going to vest, they're going to sell it, and then they're going to look up and see that their next stock is 12 months away or 18 months away or 36 months away, and say, yeah, today wasn't a great day, so I think today is my last day. But this kind of compensation, this kind of retention can become a baseline very easily and very quickly. If I have $50,000 worth of stock, as that stock starts to vest, if it's not getting replaced, then actually what's happening is the opposite of golden handcuffs. I reached the point where the last of my stock is vested and nothing has replaced it. You've got the opposite of golden handcuffs, because now I'm wondering, well, they valued me to the tune of $50,000 before. They don't value me to the tune of $50,000 now. Maybe it's time for me to look for greener pastures. So, as with any sort of benefit, you have to be careful, because it's very easy for this kind of benefit to become a baseline expectation. I do believe in golden handcuffs. I do believe they do help you get through the bad days to get back to good days. And frankly, the C-suite at companies believes in them too. Otherwise, they wouldn't have multi-million-dollar stock plans. So when they tell you that it doesn't help retention, I don't buy it. I think it does help retention. I think it helps retention in a very specific way. It can't be the only way that you are trying to retain people. You obviously need to be talking to people about career growth and new opportunities and opportunities for interactions and other forms of reward that aren't just purely monetary. But on the bad days, when all of that seems imaginary and ephemeral, the fact that there is a dollar value in the future can get you through the rough spot. Okay, I'll leave this one as an exercise to the viewer. If someone very senior within a company leaves, look back 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. Was there something that occurred at one of those time periods where that person would have gotten a bunch of stock? Because if there was, what might be happening right now is that stock vested, they cashed out, and they're leaving because of that. And maybe there wasn't any new retention that was put into place that matched what just vested. Now, sometimes you're going to have to do some adjustment for trading windows, because if they're very senior, chances are they can't sell their stock whenever, and they may have waited until the trading window opened. So you might have to do a little 2 to 3 month window back 6, 9, 12, 18 months to see. But in a lot of cases, when you do that, you can actually see that, oh, I see what happened. 12 months ago, they got a bunch of stock. That stock probably vested, or a third of it vested. They're cashing out. Special thanks to my members. They provide the resources that this channel needs to keep running. If you are interested in becoming a member, there will be a link down in the description. If you found this interesting, give it a thumbs up, because that'll help YouTube know what in the world is going on. Work in HR and want to argue with me about golden handcuffs? Go ahead, we can have a conversation about it in the comments. What are some things that have kept you going in a job in the rougher patches? Let me know that down in the comments as well. That's really interesting. I will see you again soon. Thank you.